Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. So, right at the bat, kind of a little update for this week in terms of our, WrestleMania reviews. This week is actually going to, all three matches that we're going to be reviewing this week are all going to be taking place at the same WrestleMania. That being WrestleMania 36, the one with no one in attendance, and it's because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Can you believe that was 5 years ago? That is wild to think about. Just how totally different and weird 5 years ago was in the world, especially in pro wrestling. And kind of a mini tangent, the first of, I'm sure, many, but I remember when it first happened, and nobody quite knew what was going on. Everybody was like there was such a feeling of uncertainty and stuff like that. Like, nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew what was happening. Everybody was confused. A lot of people were scared and everything. And it was pretty scary times, but also pretty challenging times. But in some ways, for some people, it was pretty fun times. Like being at home and stuff like that. Like, I know I promised the tangent's almost over. I remember I had to take my college class online. I gamed like crazy. I think I beat most, if not all, the Kingdom Hearts games while we were in lockdown, and it was quite a time. It was a pretty fun time, I must say. But another world that was very topsy-turvy and nobody quite knew what was going to be happening was the world of pro wrestling, and especially in this year. So it led to them taking some risks and taking some liberties, doing things outside the box. We got some cinematic matches as well as some regular standard ones, and this was during the early days where nobody was in attendance. They didn't even have the people standing in with like the fake crowd and everything. I feel like I said something kind of similar when I did my Asuka versus Sasha Banks review at SummerSlam 2020, or some of the other SummerSlam 2020 reviews, or even I think I've reviewed one or two matches from WrestleMania 36 already as well. But yeah, it was weird times. But like I said, it did lead to some creativity with some cool creative matches, like the cinematic matches. Not all of them worked, but here's one of the ones that did, and we're going to be reviewing the two cinematic matches from WrestleMania 36, as well as one other match that will actually kind of be a utility match, meaning we're going to need it for a review later on. So, no more of the rambling. It's time for more rambling, except a bit more organized. It's night one's turn. Yes, they were doing the two nights. Originally, it started off as kind of a response to only being allowed to have a certain amount of people in the building at once because of the COVID protocols and everything. So it started off as that, but eventually in WrestleMania since, they would wind up adopting it for just WrestleMania in general, the two-night format. And I talked about it many, many moons ago, kind of like the pros and cons of having one or two nights. It's one of the earliest videos I think I did on the channel. So if you haven't already, you can go check out that video. Maybe I'll make a follow-up. Maybe I'll make a new one. But it's the first one on the first cinematic match's turn, or from night one, that actually main evented night one. It's the Boneyard match as the Undertaker battles the phenomenal AJ Styles. Now, of course, I am not a professional wrestling reviewer, analyst, or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time, and I definitely had a really fun time going back to rewatching this match. It was fun when I watched it initially set about 5 years ago. It's fun to go back to nowadays. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about the match. So starting with what I liked, one of the things right off the bat is the entrances. Now, the entrances I usually make a joke of them being the only good parts of the match, but no, the entrances were just a good opening part of the match. The rest of the match was fun as well, but just the entrances, you knew it was going to be a great match. AJ Styles coming out in the casket, people pulling up in the hurt, or we didn't see quite who was driving, and then AJ Styles emerging from the casket. It was pretty funny. Undertaker showing up with the motorcycle, the American Badass gear, and of course, Now That We're Dead by Metallica. Really awesome song. It's actually on my playlist and everything. It's time for another case of Nigel Dixie shows off his playlist. I see what I did. Or no, just look up. Now that we're see, you can see no BS, no clickbaits. If it'll show, if the camera will focus, that would be nice. Don't focus on me, focus on the. I'm gonna have to do it like this. I kind of focus, but you can see it on the playlist. It's very, very awesome song. But Undertaker pulling up, AJ Styles pulling up, and these two just went at it. He felt very much like a fight, and I also like that because of the lack of crowd, we were able to hear like the conversations and just seeing and hearing them talk crap to each other while they're beating each other up was pretty funny. AJ with even a funny barb even before they start fighting as Undertaker's approaching him saying, does Michelle know you're out this late? So, for those of you who are unaware and you may be wondering, how did we get here? AJ Styles pretty much had been spending a majority of the time insulting the Undertaker for his age and calling him old, disrespecting his wife, stuff like that, and you don't do that to a man's wife or a man's age, I guess. But AJ Styles making several jabs at the Undertaker, stemming from I believe Super Showdown, or it might have been Crown Jewel, whichever was the Saudi event before. Or this one. Let me see. Yeah. So it was at Super Showdown 2020, the Tawake Mountain Trophy Gauntlet match that was a totally fake tournament. One just an excuse to put the Undertaker over at the event. Did I mention the Saudi shows used to be kind of bad, but and Super Showdown, that was the year the Fiend lost to Goldberg. So it was that, but nevertheless, back to the match. So AJ and Undertaker really going at it, really slugging it out. Gallows and Anderson get involved; they get taken out, and see you in about 2 years, because that was their last appearance for a couple years before they would get released due to the budget cuts later on in the year. The Druids show up and actually attack the Undertaker. Place your bets. Which one of those people who under the Druid hoods is going to be WWE champion in a few years? But kind of playing a lot of the greatest hits of the Undertaker, including, as I mentioned, the entrance and the gear, or the entrance to the Boneyard, that is, showing up in the American Badass gear. But as AJ knocks Undertaker into the grave, Undertaker just showing up in the flash of light, giving us as probably one of the funniest wrestling memes of the Undertaker standing behind AJ before. Or even doing his lighting stuff on fire. Man, what is it with Undertaker and Kane lighting stuff on fire? Like, both of them have a penchant for it. Thankfully, Undertaker doesn't have to do the full motion like Kane. He just has to do the and showing off his abilities there. And ultimately burying AJ, telling AJ he fought his ass off, which, to be fair, to Undertaker's credit, he did, before knocking him in the grave, even then, pouring the dirt on him, and before the light show, with like the Taker logo on the top of like the barn thing, and riding off into the sunset. So, really fun in that regard. Just a fun fight, and them using the environment to their advantage, including Undertaker nailing AJ with a shovel, and AJ even nailing Undertaker with a tombstone, or like a crumbly tombstone. Admittedly, was pretty creative. Like, just getting creative and fun with that cinematic aspect. They had their limitations, and they had to work around their limitations. And I think for the most part, they were able to make it work. And and sometimes it's even better when you have to be when you have to make your limitations work. And I think I think some of the cinematic matches, not all of them, as we would see later on in 2020, but some of them did have like that cool element of creativity, and this match especially had it. And for this being Undertaker's final match, which is something I should also mention, and this was the Undertaker's last match. He would officially retire later on in the year, but for Undertaker's last match, he went out with a bang, and it was even more chronicled in the Last Ride documentary, which hashtag fake fan alert coming in, I have actually not watched yet. And admittedly, documentaries, unless someone really interested in documentaries, don't always appeal to me, but I know they're important and they oftentimes can be interesting. And the whole point is to learn more about something you're interested in. And I did hear the Last Ride documentary was actually really interesting and informative. But Undertaker kind of talked about him wanting that last really good match and being the reason he hadn't retired up to this point, because sadly Undertaker was kind of putting on some stinkers. Now, it wasn't always completely his fault, but there was the match with Goldberg at Super Showdown the previous year. There was the Brothers of Destruction DX match. The less we talk about that match, the better. There was the squash he had against John Cena. There was the match we wish was a squash and wish it wasn't as long as against Roman Reigns back at WrestleMania 33. So Undertaker looking for that last really good match and looking like high and low for it, and to see him finally find it in a match against AJ Styles was, I think really paid off. Now, do I think the match would have been good had it just been a straight up wrestling match, if it had been a traditional wrestling match, like in the ring and everything? I'm not entirely sure. I do think if anybody can get a good match out of the Undertaker, it's definitely AJ Styles, or at least Undertaker at his age at the time. But I think having the cinematic aspect of it, I think, really worked out for the match. If I had to find anything to dislike about it, if you're not a fan of brawls, this one, not really a technical masterpiece. Then again, it didn't really need to be. But if you're not a fan of brawls or just fighting all over the place and a lot of the punches and slugs, stuff like that, this match probably isn't for you. And that's totally fine. The other thing is definitely a little too one-sided. Now, I get that was the point. It was definitely supposed to be Undertaker just beating the crap out of AJ Styles. Well, it's pretty much getting his revenge. Revenge of the Undertaker. That event existed. Okay. But kind of to get his revenge against the Undertaker, or get his revenge against AJ Styles, and really put away AJ Styles, but definitely lean more in favor of the Undertaker. AJ being more crafty, being more resourceful in battling the Undertaker was nice to see as well, but it was definitely weighted more towards the side of the Undertaker. But Undertaker finally got his last good match before riding off into the sunset. Now, here's to hoping he doesn't wrestle another match again. Look, no disrespect to the Undertaker, which is actually his birthday today. Happy birthday, Undertaker. But he really doesn't need another match. I think this is about as perfect a send-off as you can get. But also, maybe I'm alone, I kind of want to see some more cinematic matches. I think, yeah, we had some stinkers. We did have kind of the thing between the War Raiders and, or the Viking Raiders, I think they were known as at the time, and the Street Profits. And then we had the ultra stinker of the Swamp Fight match from Extreme Rules that year, between Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. But you know what, WWE? I don't know about everybody else. I can't speak for the rest of the WWE universe or the IWC, but I don't know. I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. I think they gave up on it a little too early. Now, I'm not saying every match needs to be cinematic, but maybe sprinkle them in, because you had some decent ones, and we're going to see another one later on this year, and I'm pretty sure you know where this is going. But But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I know I rambled quite a bit, so I do apologize. But if you did enjoy this video, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on those post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you never miss an upload. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the match, my review of the match. Do you like the match? Do you like my review of the match? Let me know. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.